Have you ever met someone for the first time in English and suddenly forgotten everything you know? You know how to say hello, you know basic questions, but in the moment, your mind goes blank and you're not sure what to say next.
That happens to so many English learners. The difficult part usually isn't saying, "Hi, nice to meet you." The difficult part is keeping the conversation going naturally after that.
All right, imagine that Leo and I are meeting for the first time at a small social event. We've never spoken before, and neither of us knows much about the other person.
Let's see how the conversation develops.
Hi, I don't think we've met before. I'm Anna.
Hi, Anna. I'm Leo. It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Are you a friend of Daniel's?
I am. We actually used to work together a few years ago. How do you know him?
We live in the same neighborhood. I met him shortly after I moved there, and we've stayed in touch ever since.
Oh, nice. Have you lived in the neighborhood for a long time?
Not really. It's been about 2 years now. I moved there because I wanted to be a little closer to work, but I ended up really liking the area.
What do you like about it?
It's pretty quiet, but there are still plenty of restaurants and coffee shops nearby. There's also a really nice park within walking distance, so I go there quite often.
That sounds great. I'd love to live somewhere like that. My neighborhood is convenient, but it's definitely not quiet.
Really? Is it right in the middle of the city?
Pretty much. I live close to downtown, so there's always something happening. It's great when I want to go out, but sometimes I'd love to have one evening without hearing traffic outside my window.
I can imagine. Although I have to admit, living downtown sounds fun too. You can probably walk almost everywhere.
That's definitely one of the advantages. I barely use my car during the week. I can walk to work, the grocery store, restaurants, pretty much everything I need.
Wait, did you say you walk to work?
Yeah, my office is only about 15 minutes away.
That's amazing. My commute isn't terrible, but I definitely can't walk.
How long does it usually take you?
On a good day, maybe 25 minutes. If traffic is bad, it can take almost an hour.
An hour? That would drive me crazy.
It's not ideal. I usually listen to podcasts or audiobooks though, so at least I can make the time useful.
That's a good idea. What kind of podcasts do you listen to?
A little bit of everything. I like podcasts about travel, psychology, culture, and sometimes just funny conversations between friends. What about you? Are you into podcasts?
I am, especially when I'm walking somewhere. I listen to a lot of technology podcasts, but lately I've been trying to find something a little lighter.
What do you mean by lighter?
Something that doesn't require too much concentration. Maybe comedy, interesting stories, or casual interviews. After spending all day thinking about work, I don't necessarily want another complicated topic on the way home.
That makes sense. Sometimes you just want to switch your brain off for a while.
Right.
By the way, what do you do?
I work in software. I'm part of a team that develops tools for small businesses.
Interesting. Do you enjoy it?
Most of the time, I like solving problems, and I work with some really good people. It can get stressful when we're close to a deadline, but overall, I enjoy it.
How long have you been doing that?
About 5 years now. I started in a different area of technology and eventually moved into software development.
Was that always what you wanted to do?
Not at all. When I was younger, I actually thought I was going to become a journalist.
Really? That's quite different.
I know. I loved writing, and I was always interested in current events. Then I took a programming class in college almost by accident, and I realized I really enjoyed it.
It's funny how one experience can completely change your plans.
Absolutely. What about you? What do you do?
I'm an English teacher.
Oh, that's great. Do you teach adults or children?
Mostly adults. A lot of my students already know quite a bit of English, but they want to become more comfortable using it in real situations.
So is it mostly conversation practice?
Conversation is a big part of it. We also work on pronunciation, vocabulary, listening, and grammar, but I try to make everything practical.
I like that approach. I studied another language for a while, and I remember knowing all these grammar rules, but still getting nervous whenever someone actually spoke to me.
That's extremely common.
I would understand the question, but then my brain would start searching for the perfect answer.
And while you were searching for the perfect answer, the other person was waiting.
Exactly. Then I'd get even more nervous because they were waiting.
That's why I always tell learners that communication matters more than perfection.
That would have been useful advice back then.
Well, you know it now.
Fair enough.
Actually, there's a useful expression there for everyone listening. Fair enough.
You'll hear that expression quite often in casual American English.
If someone says fair enough, it usually means they understand or accept what another person has said, even if they don't completely agree.
For example, if Anna says, "I don't want to go out tonight because I'm tired," I might say, fair enough, let's do something tomorrow.
It's a very natural alternative to constantly saying okay or I understand.
And now, back to our conversation.
So, Leo, you mentioned that you studied another language. Which language was it?
Spanish.
Oh, nice. Do you still speak it?
A little, but I'm definitely rusty.
Sorry, could you say that again? You're what?
Rusty. I said I'm a little rusty.
Oh, got it.
If you're rusty at something, it means you used to be better at it, but you haven't practiced for a while.
So you haven't forgotten Spanish completely, you just need some practice.
That's right. If I spent a few weeks speaking it regularly, I think a lot of it would come back.
Have you ever traveled somewhere where you had to use it?
I went to Mexico a few years ago, and I tried to use Spanish whenever I could.
How did that go?
Better than I expected, actually. People were really patient with me. I definitely made mistakes, but I managed to order food, ask for directions, buy things, and have a few simple conversations.
That must have felt good.
It did. It reminded me that you don't have to speak perfectly to communicate.
That's such an important lesson.
Have you traveled much?
Quite a bit, although not as much recently. I love visiting places where I can walk around, try local food, and just observe everyday life.
What's one place you'd love to visit again? Probably Japan. Oh, I've always wanted to go there.
You should. I went a few years ago and I loved it. The food was incredible, public transportation was easy to use, and I really enjoyed exploring different neighborhoods.
Did you visit Tokyo?
I did. I spent about 5 days there, and then I went to Kyoto for a few days.
Which one did you prefer?
That's difficult. Tokyo was exciting because there was so much happening, but Kyoto felt calmer. I don't think I could choose.
I see. I'd probably want to experience both, too.
Definitely.
When you travel, are you the kind of person that plans everything in advance, or do you prefer to be spontaneous?
Somewhere in the middle. I usually book my hotel and make a list of a few places I really want to see, but I don't like planning every hour of every day.
Same here.
I need some flexibility. If I discover an interesting restaurant or neighborhood, I want to be able to change my plans.
That's exactly how I travel. I once went on a trip with a friend who had our entire day planned in 15-minute blocks.
15-minute blocks?
I'm serious. Breakfast from 8 to 8:45, museum from 9:15 to 11, coffee from 11:15 to 11:45.
That sounds exhausting.
It was. At one point, I felt like I needed a vacation from the vacation.
That's hilarious.
He's a great friend, but we discovered that we have very different travel styles.
At least you learned something.
We definitely did.
Do you still travel together?
Occasionally, but now we compromise. He gets to plan a few things, and I get some completely unplanned time.
That sounds much healthier.
It works for us.
So, when you're not traveling or working, what do you usually do on weekends?
It depends. If the weather's nice, I like being outside. I might go hiking, meet friends for lunch, or just walk around the city. If I've had a really busy week, though, I'm perfectly happy staying home.
I'm similar. I enjoy going out, but I definitely need quiet time too.
Are you more of an introvert?
Probably somewhere in between. I enjoy meeting people and spending time with friends, but after a lot of social activity, I need some time alone to recharge.
I know exactly what you mean. What about you? I'm probably a little more outgoing. I enjoy being around people, although I don't necessarily enjoy huge crowds.
So you'd rather have dinner with 5 friends than go to a party with 100 people?
Absolutely. Give me a small group, good food, and an interesting conversation, and I'm happy.
That sounds good to me too. Speaking of food, have you tried anything here yet?
Not yet. I was actually about to get something when we started talking.
Same. I saw someone walk past with these little sandwiches and they looked pretty good.
I saw those too. Should we go investigate?
Definitely. Okay, these look good. What is that one?
I think it's chicken with some kind of sauce.
And that one looks vegetarian.
Are you vegetarian?
No, but I don't eat much meat. I usually prefer vegetables, pasta, seafood, things like that.
Got it. I'll eat almost anything, although I'm terrible with really spicy food.
Really? I love spicy food.
Then we've finally found something we disagree about.
Apparently.
I've tried to enjoy it. I really have.
Maybe you just haven't found the right dish yet.
That's what everyone keeps telling me.
I'm serious. There's a Thai restaurant near my neighborhood that lets you choose the spice level.
And I would choose 0.
They might not let you in.
Then I guess I'm not going.
You're missing out.
See, now you're putting pressure on me.
No pressure. Maybe level 1.
Level 1 I could probably handle.
There you go. Progress already.
You know, it's funny, we've been talking for a while, and we started with something as simple as, how do you know Daniel?
That's how most natural conversations work. One topic leads to another.
You don't need 20 perfect questions memorized.
Right. The key is listening to what the other person says and finding something in their answer that you can ask about.
For example, earlier I said that I live downtown.
And instead of immediately changing the subject, I asked about living downtown,
Then we talked about commuting,
which led to podcasts,
which led to work,
which led to languages,
which led to travel,
and eventually spicy food.
which is apparently the most controversial topic of the evening.
Only because you're wrong.
And now she's insulting me. Wonderful first meeting.
I'm joking.
I know.
But there's another useful lesson here. First conversations don't always have to stay formal.
Once you feel comfortable, a little friendly humor can make the interaction feel much more natural.
Just pay attention to the other person's reaction and keep it friendly.
Understood.
So, Leo, are you staying for the whole event tonight?
Probably another hour or so. I have an early morning tomorrow, so I don't want to stay too late.
Same here. I have a class first thing in the morning.
What time do you start?
8:30.
That's early.
It is, especially because I'm not really a morning person.
Neither am I. People who wake up at 5 in the morning and immediately go running confuse me.
I admire them, but I don't understand them.
Exactly.
I need coffee and at least 30 minutes before I'm ready for a serious conversation.
That seems reasonable.
Anyway, I should probably go say hello to Daniel before he thinks I came to his event and ignored him all evening.
Good point. And I should find the friend I arrived with. I think he disappeared about 20 minutes ago.
Well, it was really nice meeting you, Leo.
You too, Anna. I really enjoyed talking with you.
Likewise. Maybe I'll see you around sometime again.
I hope so. And if Daniel organizes another one of these events, I'm sure we'll run into each other.
Sounds good. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
You too. Take care.
See you around.
Bye.
And that's a natural first conversation. Notice that we didn't need complicated vocabulary or perfect sentences. We simply introduced ourselves, asked questions, listened carefully, and allowed one topic to lead naturally into the next.
And remember, if you don't understand something, asking the person to repeat themselves is completely normal. You can say, "Sorry, could you say that again?" Or, "Sorry, I didn't catch that."
The goal isn't to impress someone with perfect English. The goal is to connect with the person in front of you.
So the next time you meet someone new, start simple. Introduce yourself, ask one natural question, listen to the answer, and build from there.
Every conversation you have makes the next one a little easier.
If this practice helped you, please like the video and subscribe to the English Talk channel for more real-life English conversations.
Keep practicing, keep speaking, and remember that confidence grows every time you use your English in real life.
Thanks for practicing with us today.
We'll see you in the next conversation.
Goodbye for now.